Trade League Andy's ruining the game for everyone yet again. I'm able to walk up to a boss that's supposed to be an in-game guardian boss, and I can kill it in less than a second. They need to dial it back. It's out of control. I mean, I think I had disagreed with a lot of what he said there. I think I disagree.
I want to play PoE so badly, but 3.21 and certain game design choices are making it very hard. Hey guys, new video here. I have finally made it to level 98 in Crucible League, even though my character keeps getting goatsied by the monsters in the Crucible. Speaking of goatsy, look at this MTX that Grinding Gear released up here. I equipped it immediately when I got out of the mystery box. We are over a week into the league, and the first 2 patches have come out to address the Crucible League tuning, but so far it hasn't been enough. Feels kind of weird making this video, as historically, if you look at my Twitch stuff and my YouTube stuff, I'm usually a Grinding Gear Games dick rider for the most part. So for those guys that just want TLDR, you don't want to watch a whole negative video, I don't blame you. Here it is. For the vast majority of players, playing Crucible will feel like you're playing standard, but even harder. It is a culmination of a pattern of game design that I'm not sure is healthy for the future of PoE. It actually took me a long time to post this because I was reading the Reddit and I saw some threads about how this league has the most concurrent players ever, both at launch and 7 days in, and huge congrats to Grinding Gear for that. That's a massive achievement.
Post it anyway, bro.
I took a few days to read all the comments on the forums, on the Reddit, on Twitter, and I hung out in different Twitch streams to kind of see the vibe and to gather my thoughts and to see, am I the one that's out of touch? And I don't think I am. The format of the video will be like this. First, I'm going to address all the major and obvious issues with Crucible, just in case there's some new players that are watching who might be out of the loop. And then I'm going to address after that what I believe to be some core issues with Path of Exile at the moment. And you know what?
No, my take is that you should say it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what the community thinks. You should say what you believe. You should speak your truth. Doesn't matter. That's my thing. Which is what, you know, I've seen Cute Dog do in the past, which is why, you know, I'm watching his video right now because I respect him. Because I know he say, you know, which is what you should do. It doesn't matter. Even if 90% of people love the league and think it's amazing and you think it's shit, you just say you think it's shit and you just say why. Ultimately, it shouldn't make a difference. Ultimately.
If you're loving Crucible, I don't want to take that away from you. Feel free to skip this Crucible critique because you probably heard all this 100 times before on the Reddit and in-game, and go straight to the part afterwards where I kind of go over the 2 things that are kind of hurting the game, and you might find more value in my thoughts there. If I could describe Crucible in one word, it would be friction. Before you even get into a map, you have to manage the inventory. So let's hope that you aren't making a 2x4 item because your inventory is small. It just got a lot smaller. If you didn't remember to bring an item, well, that's too bad. You can go back to town, get a good base that you might actually want to skill tree on, or you can just press your show hotkey and find a random item off the ground, and then you can fish for a currency node on that undesirable weapon. There's also issues with the left hand versus right hand management system. How many of you guys have had this issue where if you put it on the left side, because most maps these days, you're going to go back to town to dump your inventory. You go back to town and you accidentally vendor your weapon. Oh, whoop, that thing's gone that you were baiting.
I did it one time.
Or you dump it in the dump tab and you won't know that you dumped it until you go back to the map and you encounter the Crucible, and now you run into the issue that I just described. If you keep it on the right-hand side, well, that's also an issue because there are a lot of identified items that you'll pick up, or you'll identify items in your inventory as you go, and now the leftmost inventory item will be stuck in the Crucible, and you have to either drop that item or move the right-hand item into the left side to be able to bake that item. You know, back in Scourge, they developed a really nice system for this, where you could have 3 items slotted in a UI. It was called the Dream Furnace. And
yep, they should have that for sure.
Harvest, you even had these lockers that stored a league mechanic for use. In Ultimatum, when you had to make a decision on something, the entire screen just paused. Shape or roleplay style.
That was
while
good.
You made that decision whether you wanted to push the harder content or not. And in Heist and Sanctum, they even added a nice little slot right next to your gear that you could just put something in. But in Crucible, we use our inventory space.
True.
I'm guessing that these past slots or lockers were unusable for Crucible League for one reason or another. I'm not a coder. Okay, sure, whatever. Let's talk about the Crucible button. The length of time that it takes to fill goes against so many systems in this game. They've shown that they do want you to have control of the content and maps, because these days they allow you to pop multiple breaches in a row. You can speed up or slow down and edit monster HP these days if you want to through Atlas points. But when it comes to Crucible, you can't pop other elite content and then walk up right away to the Crucible and engage in that as well. You have to do a full stop. 2 things will happen if you try to engage with Crucible while other content is going on, and you will either just die, or you'll have to do a half bake because you will need to leave the circle to handle the other content that's coming at you. And we all know what happens when you leave a circle in PoE. There's this weird zoom issue where the mouse can just fly off the button. There's a lot of misclick opportunities. Loot filter labels can obscure your vision and cover things more than the main UI already does. I can rattle off a bunch more things that every player will encounter if you just play for a couple days, but you kind of get the idea. Let's talk about the duration of the full channel again. I haven't timed it, but I'm guessing it's somewhere around 12 seconds or more. And most players will lose all of their flash charges. They will lose all of their power, endurance, frenzy charges, their self buffs if you're something like Corrupting Fever. Like
gotta feel the weight, bro. Gotta feel the weight.
They didn't want or expect players to full channel in the Ziggy and Chris interview before the league started. But then why does it take a full channel to reveal one skill tree? Because if you make it to take 2 channels, then that's just one map where you're actually playing standard. This should really never be the case for a hype new league. The mobs, even after the nerfs, are quite overtuned.
Okay, I disagree. I disagree with that. Like, it needs to always be a max channel. Okay, no, if it's the reward is good enough, it's fine. If the reward is good enough, it's like, it's because the reward isn't good enough. That's when it's not fine. It's the reward waiting, right? The reward is shit. And you know, okay, but no, if it takes like fucking 5 maps to do it, but you get 5 divines, who cares? Like, I don't give a fuck. I'll channel it full chat 5 times and get nothing for 4 other times, and then on the 5th one I get 5 divines. Okay, no, it's the feeling of it not feeling rewarding enough that makes it feel like that, I think.
For a league mechanic, each rare or unique is many times harder than the map boss, always. And so when you factor in things like map mods, eldritch altars that are affecting your character, it gets out of control really quick. There's a special shout out to the red snakes that do the little LMP attack, alongside our favorite soul eater mob that can sometimes appear and just get you out of nowhere. Let's talk rewards. Historically in PoE, when you reach the end game, you can take pretty much 2 approaches. The first one, the one that I personally like a lot more, is you kill a bunch of small monsters. You interact with a bunch of small content, and then you roll the dice, and over a long period of time, you get a bunch of small rewards. The second option is you can kill one big monster, usually a boss, and get a bigger reward over time. Okay, makes sense, right? So the first option would be things like mapping, heisting, and the second option would be things like killing Eater and Exarch invitations, Elder, Uber Elder, things like that. This league has not really hit that balance at all for the reason I mentioned earlier in the video, and overall it's just a frustrating and pretty unrewarding experience. There's no excitement when I go into a map and I see that Crucible icon. Like, how did we go from having a no-hit run Sanctum as the final league content, and that's removed from the game, by the way, to now we open a geode, put in the map, sprint past all the monsters, don't engage with them at all, and just touch the furnace and then teleport out. I'll quickly go over my experience. I tried to do a solo self-found project of crafting a tree onto my weapon. First day, I spent 6 hours doing maps, about 30 to 40 maps, so I guess not that many. I didn't drop a single geode. After about 6 hours of playing maps, I dropped my first geode. I opened it. It was a add a skill tree to a unique weapon, not a rare, so I couldn't use that one either. So I resorted to trading and buying the geodes I needed. The second day, I did get a little bit luckier with the geodes, and I spent about 8 hours trying to get a tree on my bow. I tried the 1-2 method, starting with the first 2 nodes. I tried the 3-4 method, tried the 3rd and 4th node, and after 8 hours, all I had to show for it was the same exact bow that I started with. I had kept the 2 nodes that I wanted, and that's it. It felt like a complete waste of time, and I know that I could just keep buying geodes, I could keep buying trees, and then scouring, adding, scouring, merging, over and over and over. But then I'm not really playing the game. I'm not playing any maps. I'm just trading all day long. It's a pure
Trade League Andy's ruining the game for everyone yet again. That was probably the best thing about Sanctum, is that it was balanced around solo. Like, it wasn't like you could buy the Sanctum relics. You had to do the Sanctum yourself. And it's because they balanced the fucking tree creation around the fact that people would be able to buy the stuff. So then they had to make the really good nodes super rare, and they had to make the geodes super rare because people are going to engineer insane shit. Trade League Andes ruining the game yet again just by them existing. Honestly, they need to... Dude, Trade League's a fucking clown fiesta. They need to just balance the game around SSF. And then, you know, we'll just let Trade League do whatever the fuck Trade League does, dude. Straight up. Straight up. Like, they need to do that. I'm not even kidding. Balance the game around SSF, and then fucking... In that way, people who you don't feel compelled to do that. So you can do your Crucible mechanic solo. You don't need to do all the trading. You know, you could trade, and there'll be advantages to trading, but, you know, it's balanced around... Like, I hate all the unique items that are now balanced around Trade League. I hate all the div cards that are balanced around Trade League. I hate all this shit that's just balanced around because Trade League exists. Oh, dude, Recombinators getting removed from the game because Trade League exists. It's like, dude, Recombinators were fucking sick, dude. But yeah, oh, some Trade League guys are editing some insane gear. Who gives a fuck? They're gonna one-shot every boss in the game anyway in 2 seconds. It's already a fucking meme, dude. Just balance it around fucking SSF, you know what I'm saying? Because that's why the Crucible trees are so cunty, and that's why they started to, you know, make, like, this is why Cute Dog's complaining about it right now. It's because it's balanced around Trade League existing.
Pure RNG shit show. All right, so now let's talk about PoE in 2023 as a whole. Enough.
I mean, the Crucible mechanic does, the gameplay sucks,
that
though.
Can be solved with
as well.
next week's patch, which is definitely coming, right? Right, guys? Patch this week? I believe that there's two main issues with the game right now, and the first issue is how Grinding Gear Games handles power creep and player nerfs, and the second issue, more importantly, is the game constantly makes you do more or invest or waste more time while getting less than you used to get. Now, I know a lot of people in the comments will say Grinding Gear Games is giving you free power. You get an insane weapon that you couldn't get before. Why are you complaining? And my issue with that argument is that we've had nothing but just borrowed power. Take Sentinel League, for example.
Okay, here we go.
Combinators
Buzzword right
enjoy
there.
making items that haven't been seen since Harvest. Have fun. But now the league is over, we're gonna take them away. Scourge, you get to add some cool mods to your gear. It's kind of like Crucible. Oh wait, that's gone too. Like a Calandra League comes
that's fine.
along, here's an opportunity to make some insane jewelry.
That's cool.
And not only is Lake of Calandra power creep, but it enables even more builds to have some time in the sun, like the Doriani's prototype, where you go negative lightning res. After 3 months, that's gone too. The reflection of Calandra doesn't exist anymore. A little side note, I only
But you can't leave the sin, Cute Dog,
because it was impossible by the reflection tiles.
Wait. Okay, I'm okay with them adding power in as a league mechanic as long as it's removed at the end. If they add power in and don't remove it, it makes the game just spirals into a complete dog shit. So either they don't add power in and then ever, right? Or they do add power in and then they remove it after. And borrow power is fun because, you know, it changes how you build character. He's literally describing the upsides, right? Builds that weren't viable are now viable. Builds that, you know, that didn't exist now exist. And then guess what? They go away. And then there's some new shit that gets added in, right? There's some new shit.
Was playing the game anymore. Sanctum League comes along. Here's some insane mods on completely different slot.
People just hit borrow power and they get triggered because they just
put a keystone.
It's a buzzword from World of Warcraft.
What the hell? Oh wait, that's gone too after 3 months, along with Original Sin and a massive end game that rivaled things like Delve, Heist, Lab Runners, stuff like that. And now in Crucible,
Cute Dog, they're gonna add Sanctum back into the game. Let's be real. Let's be real. You think they're not adding Sanctum back into the game? Sanctum's coming. Sanctum was amazing and it fit perfectly within the PoE universe. It was just like the implementation was mid and it could be so much better. And you know they're iterating that shit and then they bring it back into the game. Sanctum was fucking great, dude. Sanctum was fucking great. Now, of course, when they bring it back in, they're gonna have to remove the power aspects, right?
Crucible, we get this nice little passage tree that goes on every weapon or shield. And next week, I guarantee you that's gone as well. But don't worry though, because next month we're gonna get a scarf slot. If they really want people to use the link skills so much, let's just come out with a league where the power creep is that you get to hire one of the masters or exiles and you get to fully gear them out. Then everybody's using link skills. We always get these fun little toys to play with and then they get taken away. But every patch and every expansion, there is a very healthy dose of nerfs. And those nerfs stay. Here's a graph I've drawn up in paint. The yellow line represents...
What do you mean? It's a good thing for the game overall. The vision, Cute Dog. Do you like vision? You don't want that to be going up. What the fuck? The vision. They're trying to get it ready for PoE 2. You know, PoE is a fucking clown fiesta. Bro, PoE is a clown fiesta, dude. It's a clown fiesta where I'm able to walk up to a boss that's supposed to be an in-game guardian boss and I can kill it in less than a second, right? It's a fucking clown fiesta. It straight up is. The current modern PoE. I'm playing SSFHC, dude. They need to dial it back. It's out of control. It's out of control. They need to consistently nerf and consistently slow down the game. Otherwise, PoE 2 is going to be a clown fiesta as well, which is like one of these things where, you know, hey, obviously Ruthless is, I said it before, I said it again, I'm probably going to be moving to Ruthless soon. In the current trend, if this Clan Fiesta continues, right, and then Ruthless, they can incrementally improve Ruthless to make it better, at a certain point, I will make the switch to Ruthless, most likely myself, right? Let's be real here. Because it's the modern PoE currently is kind of like, you know, out of control, but they are trying their hardest to keep things in check and to try and draw back power and to try and slow down the game. I'm waiting for the patch where they put cooldowns on all mobility skills. I don't know when they're gonna do that. They are going to be fucking. It's gonna be biblical, bro. Biblical.
Raw player power. What is the best possible in the current league with the current gear? The orange line is individual build power, and you might look at this and you go, how the hell does that work? How can we be overall overall stronger than we've ever been, yet the builds we play are weaker compared to the past. Why do we feel weaker compared to the past? What a lot of people don't think about is that individual builds will always get nerfed and they'll always get weaker over time because of grinding your games. But player power is still increasing simply because they introduce more items or options or ways of scaling, which can create like new builds that become dominant or ways of elevating an old playstyle. So for example, things like masteries on the skill tree, Eater and Exarch implicits. You have new amulets like Omni and Ashes of Stars. You know, in Expedition League, there was the Olroth's Flask, which makes for a very nice boss killer called a War Loop Scion. But all the uniques I've mentioned, you'll notice that the builds associated with them or the items themselves have been heavily nerfed, even though they made player power go up tremendously. So although grinding gear games is adding a lot more juice, it's not in a way that you can just plug these items or mechanics into your favorite old builds that may have been deleted and then see them become usable again or see the numbers get bigger. And in this graph, alongside the two lines, I've also added a third red line, which represents monster power, which also grows over time.
I feel like I disagree. I feel like over time, more and more builds are becoming viable than were before, right? I think more, and that's simply by virtue of like so much power creep. Builds that couldn't clear T16 and clear in-game content now can. No, I think it is. No, because what's happening is we're power creeping, and because of power creeping, guess what? You can play fucking, you can play dual strike or you can play heavy strike. Like, you can beat the entire game with heavy strike right now. Right now, there is more builds viable than 2 years ago. Yes, you can beat all end-game with more builds than you could before. You can plug in more skills than you could before, and that's just a virtue of power creep. And then also, I think GG has been balancing, right? GG has been buffing underperforming skills. Now, it's far and few between. I think they need to do it more and more often, but they have been. They've been getting the skills that are overperforming, they've been taking them down, and they've been getting the skills that are underperforming, and they've been reworking them and trying to buff them, right? And on top of that, they've also added new skills into the game. Like skills that didn't even exist before. Guess what, dude? The most meta skill in the game right now, Bone Shatter. Oh, wow, that didn't even exist until fucking what league, whenever league they put that in. Was that Expedition League? It didn't even exist. That wasn't even a build that was technically, it didn't even exist, and it exists now. So it's like, no, build diversity is going up. Like, so I just hard disagree. But hey, let's continue.
And sure, sometimes we get thrown a bone like Curse Effect buffs recently, but if you look at the laundry list of nerfs, it's not exactly fair. If you look at the rares that have life regen these days, the rares that have leech, the rares that have the nullifier, the mana siphoner, these rares are much more prominent since I would say a few weeks ago. I read all the patch notes and there was no mention of adding different weightings to the monster mods or making the rare monsters harder. So now let's talk about the second issue, which is that I believe that grinding your games is making you spend more time or waste more time for not as much reward as you used to get. I'm going to use Expedition as a baseline because everyone remembers how massive the nerfs were and how they tried to slow players down starting an Expedition. It was kind of the first time you realized that you had to come to a full stop. You had to pick up every single shard off the ground. There's 4 vendors with multiple types of currency each, and compared to previous leagues, it was quite tedious.
Expedition is fucking amazing.
That Expedition is a good league. I think the rewards are fine. It's one of the best leagues that you can add to your Atlas. But it does take more time playing to achieve the same results. Going forward with this idea, let's talk about Scourge League, which I played a lot of, but it did also have some things to slow down players'
complete dog shit. That league was terrible.
There's a thing called the Dream Furnace. It's a inventory for 3 weapons and 3 maps. Scourge is actually kind of similar to Crucible in many ways because you place an item inside of this box to level it up. There's multiple levels of it, just like there's multiple paths on the Crucible skill tree. It gains experience over time as you do more maps, and you will unlock modifiers for your items that can make it stronger or weaker. It was tedious to maintain, kind of like Crucible is right now, and it took a long time to see results. It had this thing that was super annoying, and I think it started occurring in Scourge League, where you can actually have your time wasted and get no reward at all. When you look at your results, it could be that you have been baking this item for a long time and you have nothing to show for it, right? You have 0 gain for
that's
your
the way it
time
goes.
spent.
So I think it crumbles,
Players
Q-Dog.
don't like being backpedaled on their progress. Why do people like Harvest so much? Because it's deterministic. Every step leads to the next step. You will
Pure
get
determinism's
that
bad.
item.
You need
There's
RNG.
an element where I've gotten to step
you think you want it, but you don't.
And then all of a sudden, something out of my control brings me back to step 1 or step 0, or I have to go trade for another item because it's completely bricked, I don't think that's good game design. We're going to talk about Arc Nemesis as it applies to this idea. At first, Arc Nemesis
I'm trying to. Oh my god!
Design. A harder monster
okay, I
drops
can't pause
more loot. I can get behind that. Well,
RNG is unironically good. It's a fundamental principle that makes you want to log in and play Path of Exile. You're literally addicted to gambling, chat. That's what ARPGs do. Okay, and to say that you want the game to be totally deterministic and you want all rewards to be deterministic is something that you think you want, but you don't actually want. The reason why you get addicted to this shit is because of the potential for rewards. It's a chance of getting something. It's a reason why farming a diff card is so exciting, even though it's like, man, wouldn't it be better if I just filled up a bar and then I just got the thing, right? You think you want that, but you don't, ultimately. And that's fundamentally one of the biggest underlying principles of ARPGs in general is literally, yes, RNG high carry. It's like, no, there's a certain level, right? There should be a certain level of RNG. If the game is totally RNG and there's no skill whatsoever, that's obviously dog shit. But the level of RNG needs to be high, especially in RPGs, dude. It's just a fundamental. You think you want pure determinism, but you don't.
It sounds simple. The way that you would upgrade your monster with these inventory items was really annoying. And it was so confusing because it took a lot of time for you to go research and learn what combinations were with what. And it wasn't just like a few combinations. There was like a lot of combinations. And so you had to have a spreadsheet open with all the combos. And only a few of them were really any good. The rest were pretty bad. The time that you would spend trying to kill this mob wasn't always worth the reward unless it was one of the good combos. There was no sort function. And throughout the league, you'll see a lot of players just chose to skip it. All right, let's talk about Calandra League. Calandra is where you will run a lot of maps that have absolutely no rewards. There's nothing in the map.
Dog shit league mechanic.
Until you finish a lake tile set, which is like a map that you made yourself. The kind of rewards that you would get, you really had no idea what you were getting yourself into. The difficulty was insane. I would compare once you got to like tier 12 or 13,
complete dog shit.
Like
damage multipliers.
Deli map in terms of difficulty,
so shit,
and damage, but you didn't know about. There was no indicator to tell you that
shit.
That was difficulty. The worst design of this league was that the reward structure of it wasn't fixed until a month in, and it was still delayed like 16 maps back or more if you chose to swap or move tiles around. I would say for the normal player, you can go an entire gaming session and be able to engage with the Lake of Calandra maybe once. Alongside, there was this common theme that you can backtrack a player's progress. We're starting to see a pattern here. Sanctum kind of mixes all these things in. In Sanctum, you have to run 32 maps minimum if you remember to score.
I wanted to just do it all in one go.
Big reward at the end. All right, so now we come to Crucible, and we have design elements that bundle together Lake of Calandra and Sanctum, and all of these are kind of forcing you to just play super long for rewards that you don't even really know what they are. So in Crucible, right, the league mechanic and the monsters, they don't drop anything, just like the Sanctum monsters. If you participate, it's super time consuming and there's a lot of friction. You have to come to a full stop like an expedition and stop everything else that
I don't even get what he's talking about.
That. The rewards,
I don't even understand what he's talking about. I'm gonna be honest. I don't understand. I do Sanctum because I desperately need divine orbs for meta crafting. And I would want that, and then I desperately wanted the necklace from the woman, so that I would know I'm going for that. I desperately wanted to get a max res relic fucking thing. So those are my rewards that I wanted, and that's what I was going for, right? Then you kill the woman at the end to get the necklace for the jug to get the stacking additive damage reduction, which was busted. I mean, I just don't get what do you mean. What do you mean by he didn't know the rewards? It was literally divine orbs for crafting, which is super nice. Which I miss right now, by the way. Why? Where the fuck are my divine orbs at? Bro, what the fuck? I'm literally, chat, I have 2 divine orbs. I'm level 98. I'm level 98. I have 2 divine orbs. Like, let me metacraft some gear, guys. I have fucking 2 divines. Like, what? I have two divines. I'm level 98. I haven't used a single divine orb. That's a problem. Another reward, make the game harder. Oh my god. Oh my god. Dude, do you see me complaining about it? If that hunt was guaranteed and deterministic, you would have already quit and you'd be bored of the game instability. And I don't even think you disagree with me. I think you understand this. I think anyone with a basic understanding of logic and understands how humans think, like you think you want pure deterministic Path of Exile, but you unironically don't. You would fucking, oh, let me just farm this exact slot now, which I can get from doing this exact thing, and then I'm gonna farm this out by doing this exact thing, and then I just collect all all my points, and then I just buy the thing, and then I just have all the gear exactly that I wanted, which I'm gonna craft with my also deterministic crafting with my deterministic lead mechanics. I mean, bro, shut the fuck up.
It's are confusing because although you know if a node will be good or bad for your character, most players won't go to PoEDB and look at the thousands of mods to determine this is what I want on tier 1, 2, 3, 4, or these are the acceptable mods that I want on tier 1, 2, 3, 4. You're also expected to delay your rewards like in Sanctum and like in Kalandra for many maps, and then at the end of all of this, you might not get anything. After all said and done, you might not get anything to show for it after a day or two of playing. And not only that, because that would be bad in itself, but what's worse, you can actually go...
Do you want to know why, Q-Dog, dude? Do you want to know why, Q-Dog? Do you know how dopamine receptors work? You know how dopamine works? It's not actually getting the thing that you want. It's not actually getting the thing. It's the chance of getting the thing. It's the pulling of the lever. It's the chance. That's the hype. Yes, unironically, that is the mechanic that they use in every aspect of this game to get you fucking addicted and hooked, and that's the reason why you're like, I need to log in for the chance of doing this thing. Yes, it is pulling the lever. It is. You think it's not. It's funny because you think it's not. It's you're deluding yourself, but it is unironically pulling the lever. Now, if it's some bullshit where it's like you pull a lever and it's like a fucking 0.1% chance, that's dog shit gameplay, dog shit game design, complete luck-based trash. Now, if it's like, you know, 1 out of 3, 1 out of 4, ultimately, you know, it'd be like, imagine if they changed heist, right? Imagine if they changed heist and they just said, you know what? Instead of gem cutters, you got gem cutter fragments. And you just, every time you did a gem cutter, every time you did a gem heist, you got a fragment of a gem. And then after you've collected 25 fragments, you could just choose exactly which alternate quality gem you want, right? That would be like the equivalent. And let me tell you, your experience farming heist will not be anywhere near as fun or engaging as if you like you're going in, you maybe get it, you maybe don't. It's the reason why, like, when you kill a mob and a divine orb drops out, it feels so good. You know, every time you kill a mob, it's like Blizzard mechanics is shit though. It's shit though. It's shit. It's shit. And it's you misunderstanding why you like to play ARPGs. It's the chance of, it's literally unironically, if you enjoy ARPGs, you're a gambling addict. The fact you don't understand you think you're not, but you are.
Go backwards in progress. So you see all these game design elements just force you to play more. I'm playing way more because I have to. I'm just playing more because if I don't, I get nothing. I have to play so long for a chance to see the cool stuff. And I don't know if I'll ever see that cool stuff because the systems aren't presented in a way where I can see the light at the end of the tunnel. Is Grinding Gear Games doing all this just to slow the player down to prepare us for PoE 2 when things will be even slower? I don't know. Overall,
they have to.
I'm still having a very fun time in the league, but I'm a streamer. It's always going to be fun, right? Whether it's a good league or a bad
dog shit,
league.
shit
And
dog.
I do wonder if I wasn't streaming the game, would I be playing Crucible? And the answer is probably no. How do I end this video? I don't know.
I mean, I think I had disagree with a lot of what he said there. I think I had disagree. I think I had disagree with a lot. But then I do agree with the points that, yeah, a lot of these league mechanics are just dog shit gameplay wise. Like, the fact that we don't have a fucking slot to put our shit in is just like dog shit. Like, did they really play test it? Like, just fucking having an item that you have to keep in your bag the whole time and you have to walk around, it's dog shit. Just what is this? Darryl wants me to cook. Well, oh, we're going to cook against the Sith. No, okay. Yes. I made a vow that day. Bitch, you're creating a straw manual. And guess what I said after that? I said, guess what? I'm never playing a build that requires ultra rare unique ever again. And you know what I said? Isn't it dog shit that they balance the game around Trade League and not SSF? Like, isn't it dog shit that Shi Moriori is literally a fucking item that's not even powerful, not even meta? It's like, it's just a build enabling item for like builds that don't require attack speed, okay? And it's balanced at some fucking T0 ultra rare Trade League drop rate, right? And I cannot have access to that because they balanced it around the fact that, oh, actually, we can't give it to the if everyone got this early, it'd be bad, right? Because it would be bad if it was really like ultra common. And guess what? If they made it like common enough to be obtained in SSF reasonably, then guess what would happen? Is Trade League would be inundated with these things. So they make it rare. They make it rare, right? So they just balance the entire game around Trade League, which is bad. Which is why I made the decision to never do that again, right? Never play a game, never play a build that requires a Trade League item ever again. Because fuck that, it's just not worth it. And if I do make a decision to play a build that requires a Trade League item, then guess what? I'm gonna go Trade League. Because and that's one of my gripes with the game that I think is bad about the game. I think that's literally one of the things that is unironically. I don't go Trade League every league. You're delusional. Like, the complete overwhelming majority of my gameplay is SSF because it is an objectively better way to experience the game, in my opinion, as someone who plays the game a lot. And it is more rewarding and it feels better, and you're not forced into this fucking game of Moloch where you're like, you know, you feel like you have to trade to be efficient, and you feel like you should be doing that. You need to spend more time in your hideout, more time selling things, more time buying things, because it's the most efficient way to do it. But, you know, and it just all around becomes a negative, and you just enjoy the game less. I'm not a Moloch candy, dude. I mean, that's what it is. You get forced. Everyone gets forced into that trash of like fucking constantly trading currency and constantly buying and selling because they don't want to, but they feel like they have to. And then actually it overall makes the game worse, which is why, you know, the game's better as if ultimately, yeah. Hey, it is what it is, chat. And no, I just hard disagree. I think that more builds are viable than ever before. I think that's not the case. And I think, honestly, I think you can give it to GGG. Yes, they've added some skills into the game. Yes, they've done some balancing. But honestly, I think it's mainly just come because of power creep, dude. Let's be real. Power creep just enables this, which is a bad thing for the game as well. But, you know, it's funny that you would say that there's less builds viable whenever there is more builds than ever that can do T16 maps and kill the bosses. Now, obviously, Ubers are a whole other ball game, but Ubers, in my opinion, only exist because of the insane levels of power creep that are in the game. And I don't think Ubers should even exist. I think they should just be, heavy-handed and nerfing harder, right? Let's be real. But they're obviously opting to do that because it's easier to just, you know what, let's just add another level of difficulty. Let's just add Torment 16 into the game because I don't want to have to deal with the shit show that would ensue if we did like a Giga nerf patch, right?
Because he is God Gamer.